Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Shape the Future with Us, Digitalize Your HR Onboarding Process webinar. My name is Muhammad Takif, and I am pleased to be here as your host for today's session. Before we begin, I would like to make a few announcements. First, please note that this is a webcast webinar, which means that you will be in listen-only mode. We encourage you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the webinar. Secondly, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, and we really encourage you to participate by typing your questions in the question section. If we are unable to answer your question during the session, we will follow up with you via the email. Last but not least, please note that this session is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be shared with you once it is available. Now, without further ado, let me invite my colleague Aiman to the stage. Aiman, over to you.
Thank you, Takif. Firstly, I would like to welcome everyone to the MFALS HR Onboarding Process webinar. We are thrilled to have you join us today as we delve into the world of efficient and streamlined onboarding practices for your organization. The agenda for today is the overview of EDMS and a brief introduction to our company. And then we are going to know what HR onboarding process is and how it can be streamlined with MFALS. Then we will go to the key features and benefits, and then we will go for the use case of HR onboarding process, demo of the user interface, and Q&A. Before we commence with the next slide, please take a moment to answer the first poll that we have today. In this poll that we have today is that do you manage all your HR document and process manually or using Digitalize platform? So let me launch the poll. Okay, I will give you around 30 seconds to answer the poll, and after you answering the poll, then we will close the poll. We have around another 5 more seconds. All right, the poll has now been closed. Okay. So it seems that most of you are using manual process for your HR documents. In this webinar, we will show you how digitalized process is in MFALS. So now we go to the EDMS overview. EDMS are an experienced company providing digital transformation solution and services in content, document, and business processes management. So what we do is we assist our client to automate and streamline their business processes and to ensure that at the end of the day, our client achieve business profitability and productivity. EDMS consultants are a certified MFALS delivery partner. We are actually the first Malaysian partner to be certified as MFALS delivery partner, and also one of the top 50 partners around the world that certified with this certification. So what is MFALS? MFALS is a revolutionize the way knowledge workers automate their processes, from document creation and management to workflow automation, external collaboration, enterprise search, security, compliance, and audit trail. MFALS also has received some awards and achievements, such as the winner of the Business Intelligence Group's Artificial Intelligence Excellence Award Program in 2022. And as of August 2022, MFALS also have won the Best Feature Set and Best Leadership Awards in Document Management by Trust Radius. So what is HR onboarding process? Manual HR onboarding processes involve various steps and tasks. Here's an overview of how HR onboarding is typically done manually. At first, hiring an applicant usually starts with a job description. consists of job title, job summary, key responsibilities, and qualification. Then in job posting, HR personnel or hiring manager usually manually post job openings on various platforms such as company websites, job boards, and social media. With resume screening, HR professionals manually review incoming resumes and applicants to shortlist potential candidates based on the job requirements. For the phone screening, they also conduct phone interview to assess candidate basic qualification, experience, and motivation for the role. The evaluation, the primary objective is to gauge the effectiveness, efficiency, and overall quality of the onboarding process. For the pre-employment verification, the company will check on the applicant's certification and formal employment history. On the letter of offer, the company will extend a verbal or written job offer to the selected candidate, which may involve negotiation. Lastly, the onboarding, they will help the new employee complete necessary paperwork, provide an introduction to company policies, and facilitate training. So manual onboarding processes can be time-consuming and resource-intensive. Many organizations are now shifting towards automated onboarding systems and software to streamline and optimize these processes. Here's a sample of the HR onboarding process workflow configured in mFiles. So in our mFiles HR onboarding process, we have streamlined efficiency by enabling easy access to applicant resume through your user-friendly portal. With this portal, the applicant can send their resume and have an update on it until it being approved or rejected. In this slide, I will talk about the key features that you can have in mFiles. The first is centralized repository, also centralization of location. mFiles function as the centralized document management system for HR department, streamlining the storage and organization of applicant resumes in one unified location. Then the customizable of document templates. mFiles user have the flexibility to customize the document templates to tailor to their specific needs, for example, NDAs, employee agreement, and training materials. Next one is the document history and version control. mFiles tracks resume versions and maintain a comprehensive document history, providing a complete audit trail of changes. And then we have the workflow automation and collaboration. mFiles facilitates automate resume workflows, assigning tasks and notification. This promotes collaboration, eliminate manual bottlenecks, and accelerate HR onboarding process. Then with the integration with business system, mFiles seamlessly integrate with other business systems such as your job application portal, ensuring synchronous data and unified view of HR related information. For the comprehensive search capabilities, multiple ways to search for the document when the document was created, or the metadata, the content, and many more. In the secure access control, mFiles provide robust security measures, including granular access control and encryption to protect your applicant data. Therefore, you can manage the security settings based on your company policy seamlessly. In the mobile accessibility, mFiles mobile apps ensure access to applicant resume information from any device. So this mobile accessibility enhances flexibility, convenience, and productivity. In summary, harnessing the core functionalities of mFiles empowers organizations to optimize the HR onboarding procedures, foster collaboration, enhance operational efficiency, and maintain the security and compliance of HR lifecycle. So in this slide, these are some of the key benefits of having mFiles. For the time savings, mFiles has significantly reduced the time taken to process new document by 20% and 65% on time spent managing applicant resumes. The solution helps you to streamline the resume process from screening up to retrieval, allowing you to focus on more strategic initiatives. On the enhanced efficiency, you can easily organize and categorize applicant resume, enabling quick and intuitive access. For the ultimate business process, you can easily share, review, track resumes, ensuring everyone is on the same page and reducing delays and miscommunication. On the cost saving, by eliminating paper-based processes, Enfiles reduce costs associated with printing, physical storage, and document handling. On the enhanced security and confidentiality, you can guarantee authorized entry and uphold a secure record of activity while preventing unauthorized alteration, which complies with the Malaysia Personal Data Protection Act, also known as PDPA. In the increased visibility, Enfile acts as a centralized repository for all related documents, such as resumes, providing real-time visibility for the stakeholders to view the status, deadline, and next step of each documentation. For the mobile accessibility, Enfiles allow access to applicant resume from any device and location, facilitate on-the-fly review to boost productivity and minimize disruption due to geographical distance or travel. In general, Enfiles provides a multitude of advantages, empowering organizations to establish effectiveness, secure, and compliant HR onboarding procedures. In this slide, I'll be talking about some of the use cases of some of the human resources industry. So the first one is RSM, also known as Tax Advisory and Financial Service Limited. They are located in Hungary and also has a branch here in Malaysia. They are recognizing as a major player in HR consulting, and some of the challenges that they are having before using Enfiles are their workflow automation have no secure access on their email-based collaboration. They have thousands of papers to track across work processes, and they have no external customer access to document management system. With Enfiles, the automation of business processes and documents stored securely. The workflow also help in clarifying the roles, responsibility, and deadlines. Enfiles also give intelligent information on human resource management and document in one place. With simple workflow providing document traceability, it fulfills the customer needs. The benefit of having Enfile as your system, it streamlines the document processes to be improved efficiently and help comply with appropriate laws and regulations. With paperless and work from anywhere, the data stored centrally and electronically, comfortable working environment by elevating many mutual processes. Remote work is easier and more secure than Enfile, also reliable, smooth, and traceable processes to ensure web-based communication between RSM and its customer. The next company is East Tennessee Human Resource Agency, also known as ETRA. They are a non-profit human resource agency providing services throughout the region that help families and individuals. Some of the challenges that ETRA are having is with the manual process, their paperwork, or they will risk of losing critical information. They also have an enormous amount of paper stored in large warehouse, both on and off premises. They also need to comprehensive their file and document management solution that could be compliant with document retention timeline. Then with Enfiles, ETRA can have their audit and transportation department processes digitalized and automated. They also have digital documents, capture the metadata, and then instantly categorize and store the document in an appropriate place. They are also able to digitalize the file storage for the compliance purposes and quickly find information at the touch of a button. The benefits of having Enfiles for HR is greatly reduce employee workload, boosting productivity across paper-intensive programs by save time and steps, which translate to cost saving. Other than that, it free up more space and employee time, eco-friendly approach to information management, and MFALs also improve employee productivity and helps better meet compliance requirements faced on a recurring basis. Next, we'll go for the demo. Takib, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Aiman, and a very good day to everyone, right? So before I move further into my demo, I'm going to share another poll in which you can answer that based on your experience. So let me just share that particular poll. Right, so the question is, among the pain points listed, which one is causing you the most significant discomfort, right? So I'm going to give a few moments, maybe around 30 seconds for you guys to answer this poll, right? So just a few seconds, because we just wanted to see what is, the current pain points or the current challenges that you have been struggling with when it comes to the HR document management. Right, so I've seen some response here. All right, okay. So just give it a few seconds, 5 seconds. All right, so let me just close my poll, right? Okay, so it seems that the majority of you have some challenges in terms of retrieving documents. Yeah, 60% of you have troubles in retrieving or searching a document in an efficient way, and also 20% have some issues with manual processes, and another 20% in collaborating with others, right? So we can touch on that pain points later during the demo, but first let me just share my screen very quickly. Right, so I hope everyone can see my screen. Right, so for this demo, we'll start from the applicant point of view first, in which that they'll need to submit their job application, job application documentations. And then later on, at the later stage of this demo, we'll switch to the HR related role, in which we'll be managing all of these documentations. Yeah. So what you're looking now is actually the job application portal. So this could be your own company website or your own company's job application portal, yeah, in which that maybe they need to sign in first before they can actually access this portal. So let me just key in my credential very quickly. All right. So a typical job application portal would have a section in which you can see all the available job applicant, the job positions and also the job descriptions, right? So perhaps you can click on one of the positions and you can go through the all of the job descriptions here. So this is something, a typical job application portal would have. And then there could be a section in which they can fill in all their details, right? So let me just fill in my details very quickly, right? Right, so my number, right? Right, my address and the position that I wanted to apply. For instance, application consultants, so you could have something like this in which they can specify the work experience, and then you can allow them to upload relevant documentation. For in this case, I'm just going to upload 2 documents here, my certificate and resume, and then I click create. Right. So whenever I click create or submit here in the back end, this job application portal or your own website will send those documents and the information that we have keyed into M files, right? So it will be stored in M files. And when integrating with mFiles, another thing that you can do is you can also track your status. So if I just click this very quickly, I can see this is my application just now. Then I can, I can also see the status of this application. It's already received, right? So this is something that you can do with the job application portal when it comes to connecting that with mFiles, right? So so let us move to the HR related role. So let me just minimize this window very quickly. So when it comes to mFiles, right, we have multiple platforms on how you can access mFiles, right? The most common way is, you can just use mFiles desktop application. mFiles is also available via the web browser, web applications, so you can access through your web browser. And mFiles is also available in both Google Play Store and Apple App Store, means that it is also available in the mobile platform. Yeah. But for this context of this demo, I'm just going to use this desktop application in which it will look something like this, right? So the one that you're looking now is actually the default home screen of mFiles. And so before I go further into the details of this demo, let me just briefly explain on some of the key features, some of the basic features in mFiles, right? So on the top here, we have the search bar, so in which that you can search anything you want, yeah? And then we have multiple tabs here. So currently we're in the All tab, in which by default, that is the home screen. Then you have the Recent tab. So if you're working on a document on a daily basis, so this Recent tab would be very useful for you, because you can just go to the Recent tab and then you can just see the documents that you have recently worked on. Yeah. Then we have the Assign tab. So in mFiles, we have the capabilities to assign someone to a document. So in case that you wanted someone to review the document, to approve the document, so you can assign them in mFiles, and from their point of view, all those assignments, all those documents that is assigned to them will be listed in this tab. So these are the documents that are assigned to me. Yeah. So that is, pretty much some of the tabs in mFiles. So moving further into the demo just now, I think that we did discuss that most of the, in terms of the pain points, most of you have some challenges in terms of retrieving or searching documents. Yeah, when it comes to HR related use case, we are dealing with a lot of documents, right? So for this just specific use case, we're dealing with recruitment, and you could, you might be dealing with a lot of documents, hundreds of documents, thousands of documents, and that is a lot, right? So in terms of retrieving documents or searching documents in mFiles, we offer various mechanisms on how you can search for a document. So the most common, the basic mechanism is just to use this search bar. So for instance, if I just write someone names here, when I click enter, then it will give me the result of this particular, of the related query that I've searched here. So for instance, I can see Brandon's job application or resume here, right? And if I click into this, just press one click into these documents here on the right hand side, you can see we are actually now looking at the metadata tab. So in mFiles, every document or every object that you wanted to create in mFiles will need to specify the metadata class, right? So this, and also the metadata property. So currently I'm using the job application class, and these are the metadata properties, right, which are associated with this class. So if I switch, if I create another document, for instance, if I create a letter of offer, I'm using the letter of offer class. So that class could have another set of, different metadata properties. So in mFiles, mFiles is a metadata-driven document management system, and this is the reason why we need to fill in the metadata properties. And this metadata properties is based on your requirements. So you could have a very simple set of properties, or if you wanted, you could have a very complex, a very long list metadata properties, right? And you can also set some of the properties to be mandatory. For instance, like if you notice there's a asterisk symbol here, so this means that this particular properties is mandatory and it has to be filled in. Yeah. So just a bit more on this on searching mechanism. So when you search something in MFiles, we try to find the match within 3 parts of the documents. Yeah. The first one is obviously on the name of this document, and this is the reason why you can see Brandon is being highlighted in yellow. The second part would be in the metadata itself. So you can see the word Brandon here is being highlighted in yellow. So perhaps you could have a document without Brandon word in the title, but there is a possibility that you have that word in the metadata properties, and it will be also listed here as the results. Another part would be in the contents, right? So you can also see. I mean, I don't think we have one in this document, but in case that we have a Brandon word or name here, it will be listed. It will be highlighted in yellow as well. So you perhaps you don't have the word on the document title or in the metadata properties, but if you have to match in the content of this document, then it will be listed in the result as well. Right, so that's the first approach in which you can use the search bar. And before I move into the second approach, MFiles also offer a comprehensive relationship feature. So what do I mean by relationship? So if I quickly expand this document here, I can see some other objects that is linked to this particular document, right? So if I go to position apply, if I expand this one, I can see from here, I understand that this document here is linked to this object admin executive, in which this is the job advertisement object. Yeah, so it is linked. And if I expand further under this admin executive object, right? So let me just expand further. I can see who is the hiring manager and what are the related documents linked to this particular position, right? So I can see other documents that is associated with this position as well. So why is this happening? The reason for this is that we're using metadata, right? We're using metadata, and some of the properties we need to fill in. I mean, we need to specify something like this. In this case, I'm specifying this position properties, and in this admin executive properties objects, I have linked it with hiring manager. And of course, the other documents, the reason why it is listed here is that because we link that to this particular position applied. So at the end of the day, you could see an overall 360 view of this document relationship. So perhaps it would be very helpful for a certain case in which that perhaps you might forget, you couldn't remember, you couldn't recall that specific name of that file or that specific documents. But what you can remember is you can recall that it's linked to this particular position, right? But you just couldn't remember the applicant name. So what you can do is you can just expand this admin executive, expand this document, and then eventually you can find that particular documents. Yeah. So I mean, this is one of the interesting feature in UM4, which is relationship. Right. So that is search. Another mechanism on how we can do searching is by utilizing the advanced searching, right? So if I just clear this very quickly, and if I click this one, I can see, I can filter the search based on the properties, right? So if you wanted to add more filter, you can just click additional conditions here, properties, and then you can just add more conditions here, right? But I'm just going to perform a very quick filter. For instance, like I wanted to search all documents that is using letter of offer class. So what I can do is I can just go to these properties here. I can just choose class. Then I can choose letter of offer, right? And then if you can see here, it will automatically filter down the respective document. So if I just click into this document here, I can see the metadata is actually letter of offer, the metadata class, and it will have its own different sets of metadata properties. So for instance, like in this case, these are the metadata properties for the letter of offer, in which we have some additional properties like the salary and offer date, right? So that's the second approach in which you can use the advanced filter, right? Another way on how you can effectively find your document is by utilizing views, right? So let me just go back to the home screen, right? And if you can see here, this list is what we call as views, right? So views is not similar, it's not the same as folder, right? So in traditional folder management, you need to remember where is the folder, and when you want to create new documents, you need to ensure that that document is in the right folder, is in the right location. But when it comes to M files, we are not really concerned on the document's location, but we just need to specify the metadata class, right? And then eventually it will go to the right view. So what is view? If I can explain views in a very simple way, previously we have performed advanced search, right? Or advanced filter, right? In which we filter based on class or maybe some other properties. But instead of going through all the advanced filter and specifying the metadata properties one by one and all over again, why not we can just have that why not we can save that filter, and then we can just use that filter all over again. So that is views, right? So basically, if I right click this view, go to properties, I can see right now I'm filtering object type documents, and the class is job applications. So whenever there's a new application coming, submitted from the candidates, or whenever I add new documents and specify the class job application, it will automatically go into this view. So if I just double click this view, right? Another thing that we can do is perhaps you can break down the views into multiple subviews. So for instance, if I just go to this all application view, right? I can see all of the job applications or all of the resume or CVs that have been submitted by the candidates, right? So we have a lot of documents here. The reason why it's displayed here, just like I mentioned, because we use the metadata class job application, yeah. So this is something that is really useful for HR related use case. And another thing that since we are using metadata in managing our documents, so for this case, right, so we are currently looking at this master list of applications. So you could have a very long list, perhaps maybe 50 documents, hundreds of documents, right? So if we have a lot of documents, it could be very difficult for us to to go through one by one. So why not, maybe some of you might prefer, why not we can group them based on the position that they have applied. So if we just go back to this metadata properties just now, in this job application class, we specify the position applied, right? So let me just click one more time. Right. So if you can see in the column here, we have the position applied, right? So this is something that you can do, right? So let me just show you very quickly how you can group that based on the position applied. So for instance, if I wanted to create another views, right? So I can just copy this all view, all application view. Then I can just quickly rename this view so that it would be a very meaningful naming. All application by position, right? So if I just double click this view, of course, it will list down all the applications because we just copy that from the first view. Then what we can do, we can just right click, group by. We can group by the position applied. Oh, let me just go that very quickly. Right. So now, since we're using metadata, all of them will be grouped accordingly in this group, right? So if I go to the application consultant position, I can see this document, the resume that I have submitted earlier. So later on, if we have another applicant choosing application consultant, it will be automatically added in this view as well. So there might be some question from you. So right now we have multiple views, and all the views could have different, the same documents, right? If we go to all application, we can see this, this Takif resume. If we go to this application by position view, you can also see this documents. So are we duplicating, since I copy that view, right, are we duplicating the documents? The answer is no. We are just duplicating the filter, but at the end of the day, you can see the same document in multiple views. And in fact, it is still referring to the same document. So if I made some changes in this document, you can see the changes in the other view as well, because it is referring to the same document. So that's why, just like I mentioned in mFiles, we are not concerned on the where do we need to store, where do we need to, to keep our file in a folder, right? Where is that folder? What is the specific folder? We are not concerned about that. We just need to specify what are the document is, what are the objects, and then we can just utilize the views, right? So and I mean, by utilizing all of this mechanism, at the end of the day, you can actually find the right documents at the right place in the right time, which will eventually reduce all of this, time. I mean, it will reduce all the time that you have consumed just to search for a particular document. Yeah. So that is how we can minimize all those challenges regarding retrieving documents. Another part that I would like to discuss, I mean, based on the one that we have mentioned, that we have discussed in the poll, is that most of you mentioning that some of you might be dealing with a lot of manual processes, right? So when it comes to HR related use case, I mean, just for this specific use case of recruitment, you might be dealing with a lot of documents. And if we are doing that in a manual process way, it could be very time consuming activities, right? So, I mean, in mFiles, there are a few ways on how you can automate the business processes, right? So for instance, like, let me just give you some examples when it comes to the manual processes, right? So if you're not using any digitalized platform, perhaps, whenever you wanted to process the applicant or move the application to another state, I mean, if it is shortlisted, or if the client, I mean, if the candidates are rejected, somehow you need to notify them manually via the email. Or sometimes you are dealing with a lot of, I mean, you're still focusing on some other applicants, and sometimes you might overlook to notify them. And this is I mean, this is the reason why we see something like, the candidates are complaining, they're not being informed, even though, I mean, they have been rejected, the application has been rejected. So I'm just going to give you a very quick examples here on how we can notify that. So for instance, like this one right now, this Takif application just now is still in application received. So I can just, I mean, we have mFiles workflow in which I can just move it to another state. So I just move it to process application. All right. So what mFile, okay, if I just close this metadata, right now it is changing to another state, right? So what mFile do is that we can configure something like, whenever we move to another stage, it will notify the candidates, right? So if I just share my email very quickly here, so this is how it looks like, right? So just 0 minutes ago, this is a very recent email. So application consultant is now processed. I mean, we can customize this email, right? So it would be, I mean, you can have a very detailed email, but at the end of the day, if you automate all of these things, you don't have to worry about notifying the candidates. Everything can be automated. And also, just like I mentioned just now, if you can recall the job application portal just now, mFiles also offers, approach that a mechanism in which they can track their status as well. So they can just go to the application portal and see their latest status, right? So, I mean, in case that if I wanted to move it to another state, stage of screening, or maybe if I want to shortlist this applicant, you can notify them automatically. So at the end of the day, just like I mentioned, you can focus on doing more important tasks rather than spending your time just to send out emails to all of the applicants, right? So that is one of the things that we can cover in manual business automations. Another thing that I mean, when it comes to the automation of business processes, right? I think some of you just answered there might be some challenges in terms of the document standardization. Yeah. So for instance, like in HR, if you wanted to issue, I can just give you some example in case, for instance, like a letter of offer. Normally we have a standardized template, sorry, a standardized format, if I can say something like that, right? In which that all the font, all the wording should be the same, it should be very similar. But normally, if you're doing this manually, if you wanted to issue the letter of offer to multiple applicants, normally what you do is you just copy paste the templates, which is outside M files, which you kept somewhere else. You copy paste the template, and then you manually replace all the some details. You manually replace some details like the name of the applicant, the address, and some details like the position. So you have to manually replace that, manually type that. But in M files, we offer a mechanism on how you can actually minimize those tasks, right? So for instance, like if I go to this Brandon, this Brandon resume here, currently it is in information verification stage. So I can just, let's say that all those information is right, correct, it's valid. Then I can just move this to another stage in which we are offering, we are issuing the letter of offer, right? So that I can just click save here. Then now it is in the letter of offer state, right? In which I need to prepare the letter of offer, right, for this applicant. So what I can do, I can just right click here, right? I can just create offer letter. And then just like I mentioned, whenever you wanted to create documents in M files, you need to specify the metadata properties. But in this case, before I go to the metadata properties, I need to choose this template first. All right. And then since we have those information already in the job application or in the resume metadata, so we can just copy that value here and then just focus on some of the additional properties, for instance, like the offer date and also the salary. Right. So after I fill in everything, then I can just click create. Right. So when you click create, M files works really great with Microsoft products. So in this case, Microsoft Word. So when you click create, it will automatically launch Microsoft Word. All right. So in which that it will be, let me just share this to the first screen. At the end, it will be something like this, right? So you have a standardized template here. So this is what we meant by template. And then all the key properties will be automated, like the name of this applicant, the address, right? The offer date, and also the position applied, the salary. And if you have a lot of metadata properties and you have your own specific set of templates, you can customize that and then you can automate that in your, based on your requirements. So this is just our sample. So so you can do something like this, yeah. So perhaps maybe there might be a chance in which you just need to do some minor adjustment in which that perhaps you might need to add certain certain clause or certain paragraph, right? So you can just amend it accordingly. And then, at the end of the day, you don't have to spend your time to manually replace all the key properties, and sometimes you might have overlooked some of the properties, yeah. Right. So after everything is, is okay, then you can just click save, then close this document, and then check in document back into M files, right? So we are not specifying the folder, but we're just specifying the class. So I have also created a shortcut here in which I can go to the letter of offer view. I can just click on this view here. Then I can see the documents that we have created just now. Yeah. So just so this is how you can automate document templates. And I just wanted to touch more on the collaboration with others and also the manual process. This is considered as manual business processes as well. So in M files, normally in your, if you're doing this manually, perhaps before issuing this letter of offer to the applicant, you might need to go to certain review, internal review, in which you need to have your own colleagues, maybe some departments, someone from other departments to review the letter of offer, for instance, like your compensation team, your legal team, finance, or it could be anything, yeah. So if you're doing this manually, perhaps you might need to share this via email and then waiting them to respond, whether they approve the letter of offer. Or maybe if you're doing this a very pure manual process, sometimes you just print those documents in a physical form and then just have all those internal person review that for you. But MFiles can minimize those tasks, which if you're doing this manual way, it can consume a lot of time. So in MFiles, you can collaborate digitally. So right now we are still in the draft state, yeah. So I can just submit this document for review, right? Then let me just close this metadata tab to see all the columns here. So right now it is review in progress. So if I expand this document here, I can see we have created one new assignment. Yeah. So if I go to this metadata here, I can see this assignment is linked to this. It's assigned to these three particular persons. Just like I mentioned, it could be your compensation team, it could be your legal team, right? So they might need to review these documents. They will be notified as well, and they will be, just like I mentioned, it will be displayed in the assign tab as well. So perhaps they can just right-click this, double-click this document, read only, review the documents, and then if everything is okay, then they can just approve this document by marking this checkbox here, right? So just for this demo, I have configured my permission so that I can approve on behalf. By default, we couldn't approve assignment that is assigned to someone else, yeah. So you can only assign, you can only approve the assignment that is assigned to you, unless there is some custom permission that is configured, right? So in this case, I just approve on behalf, right? So for this particular use case, we are not using any digital signature because it's just internal review before issuing that to applicant. Then I can just click save. All right. So whenever everyone is, whenever everyone already approved this document, if I refresh this very quickly, I can see this document now it's in approved stage, and we can also do something like, perhaps we wanted to automate the process in which it will generate another separate PDF file while maintaining the native file. So in case that you might need to amend something, then you can just delete this PDF and then generate the PDF again. Yeah. So we can do something like, in case that one of the reviewer rejects the documents, it will be routed back to the document preparer. So that is something that we can configure in the workflow, right? Then you can just share this to your applicant, and in MFiles we have a quicker way in which you can attach this to your email. You can just right click on this document, then go to the share, and then send as PDF by email. So MFiles will automatically launch your Microsoft Outlook, right? And then automatically attach that document in your Outlook. Yeah. So let me just share the screen here, share the window here. So it will something like this. Yeah. So it will be automatically attached here, and then you can just send it to your applicant, right? So one last thing before the very last feature that I would like to show to you is this is just focusing on this manual thing, yeah. So perhaps there might be a case in which you need to compile all the job applications, maybe in a CSV file. Perhaps maybe that is for your internal reporting, or it could be something else that you need to do internally. But then if you're doing that manually, if you're talking about 50 documents, 100 of documents, or even more than 200 of documents, if you wanted to list this manually, if you want to compile this manually in Excel file, if you're doing this manually, it will consume a lot of time, yeah. But in MFiles, since we have listed here in this view, and we can also add new column if you want to, we can just compile everything in CSV in under 1 minute. So I can just right click, export. Then I can just export visible column only. I can also export files, but for this case, I'm just going to export column only, right? So in which it is referring to this column here. Then I can just maybe HR applicant report, right? So this is just a sample. And I can just show in folder just to show you how it looks like. right? If I just double click that CSV file, right? It will go to this Excel, Microsoft Excel. So it will be something like this, all right? So all those columns will be identical to the columns that you see in view, because we extract all the visible columns only. And then there you go. You can extract that under 1 minute. All the listed, all the displayed documents will be listed here. And then you can now use this CSV file maybe for your internal purposes, maybe for your internal reporting and etc. So yeah, by doing this, you can save a lot of time here. So at the end of the day, I mean, by using mFiles, just like I mentioned, if I can recap this very quickly, mFiles can help you to reduce time in terms of retrieving the right document at the right place at the right time. Right? There's no need for you to manually search that in a particular folder or what. mFiles can save time in terms of collaborating with others, automating some manual tasks, for instance, like generation of document template. And also when it comes to this reporting, extracting in CSV file, mFiles for sure can help you for these tasks as well. Yeah. So yep, I think that is all for the demo today. If you have any question, feel free to ask the question in the Q&A session later. So I'm just going to give the session to my colleague Ayman. Ayman, over to you.
All right, thank you, Takir. So let me share my screen. Okay. Now I have seen some of question here that you guys have sent. Let me search for the first question. All right. So the first question is the system friendly in terms of customization to meet our specific needs? So I think Takif, you can answer this.
Yeah, in terms of customization to meet your specific needs, I think yes, in fact, that we are building the solution from scratch actually. So when we are building the solution from scratch, it will always based on your requirement. Yeah. So for instance, like just now that I've mentioned, we can customize the workflow, customize the metadata properties, views, template based on your requirement. So for instance, like a template, that is not a fixed template. It should be coming from your end, in which that we can customize that in mFiles. So to answer this question, yes, we can customize mFiles, customize the workflow to meet your specific needs.
All right, that's great. Then the next question that I can see here is, all right, can this onboarding system connect with our existing HR software and other systems? I think Takif, you can also answer this question.
All right, okay. I think what was the question again? The connecting with HR software and also
Yes.
what system? Other system?
What are other system, other existing system?
Okay, all right. So in terms of, in terms of integration, yes, technically, yes, mFiles can be integrated with other solutions. In fact, that the one that I have demonstrated earlier, just now, we are integrating that with another separate job application portal. Yeah. So at the end of the day, yes, we can integrate with other third-party solutions. However, we need to understand what are the information that will need to be communicated between these systems, and also given that the external solution allows integration, because there are a few solutions out there, they might be a bit restrictive when it comes to integrating with other systems. So we need to take note on this as well.
All right, great. So for the next question that I can see here is that what is the standard implementation timeline? Can the system be up and running within a month?
Yeah, I think I can answer this question because it's regarding the project. Yeah. So so this is a very subjective question actually, because it will always depend on the requirements. Yeah. So if you have a complex requirement and scope, it might take a longer time. But if you have a very straightforward requirement, just like my demo just now, that is very straightforward, very simple requirement, just a few class, then and it can be up running within 2 weeks. But you have a lot of workflows, integration, additional module, then it might take around 1 month or more. I mean, that's all I can answer. I mean, it depends on your business requirements. Yeah.
All right. So for the next question, I can answer this. How do you calculate the cost of the solution? Should we be interested in purchasing it? And with this, the yearly subscription is based on the amount of licenses purchases. However, during the first phase, the client will need to add the cost of professional services to, as our consultant will assist in the implementation and the configuration of the systems. For the next question that I can see is, how can we monitor effectively with this solution in terms of managing onboarding tasks, or maybe the progress of each applicant? I think you can answer this, Takif.
Yep. So I think this one, by using MFAS workflow just now, just like our what I've demonstrated earlier. So you can track the status of each application. For instance, like just now I've shown you what are the job application that is still in screening phase or still in application, I mean process application phase. So this is something that I mean we can track using workflow. And also another part would be something like I've shown in the letter of offer just now, in which we can see what are the documents that is pending review and also some of the documents that are already approved. So at the end of the day, you can also, I mean, you can track that by workflow.
Okay, great. Then there's another question. Can the onboarding system support different languages? And also, MFAS software support a lot of different main languages, but not all. Currently, they have around 37 languages from around the world. We can email you the list of the languages that MFAS support later after the webinar session. And then we have more question here. So the first question is the system compatible to integrate with our company's website front end and back end for the job applications?
Okay, yeah, I think I can answer this question. I think in terms of integration, just like I mentioned just now, I mean, from the high level of it, technically, yes, yeah, technically, yes, MFAS can be integrated with any other third-party system, yeah, because we have the API and etc. That's I mean, that's my my high-level answer. But in terms of, just like I mentioned, we still need to consider, I mean, we need to discuss with your, I mean, in this case, if you want to integrate that with your website and also some of your applications, we need to communicate with your external provider. I mean, those providers, what are the information that you wanted, you know, that will be communicated between these systems. And also we need to, I mean, we need to discuss in terms of a technical point of view, whether those integration, whether they allow integration and etc. So I mean, some of the use case is something like, you know, maybe you wanted to send, I mean, we wanted to send documents only to MFiles, and then whenever we process the workflow in MFiles, then it will send those information back to your backend system. I mean, that is just some of the communication examples, but it could be a different set of requirement when it comes to, I mean, that's why we need to really understand the requirements, but technically, yes, we can integrate that.
Okay, so the last question is, are all the data and folders stored in cloud storage? How big is the storage capacity?
Yep, I can answer this question, Ayman. Right, so in terms of this, before we go to the cloud storage, we can explain a bit on MFiles deployment. Yeah, so you can actually implement MFiles in your own on-prem server, you know, on-prem. You can also use MFiles Cloud, in which that will be hosted from MFiles. Yeah. So in terms of your I mean, if you're using on-prem servers, whether, I mean, if you're using your physical server or maybe your own on-prem cloud server, so that depends on, I mean, it really depends on your infra, how much is the storage. But when it comes to MFiles Cloud, the one that is managed by MFiles, the cloud storage is actually based on the number of license. Yeah. So the number of user license. For instance, like we have few types of license here. So for instance, like if you we have name license, name user license. So if we are subscribing one name license, I mean for one name license, there will be 10 gigabyte of storage. So if you are subscribing, I mean if you have, for instance, like 5 name user license or 10 user license, so in this case it will be 50 gig and also 100 gig. So that depends on the user license actually. So the cloud storage is depends on the user license. Of course, if you're subscribing to concurrent user license, that will be another different set of calculation. I think for this one, we can share a bit more details via the email in terms of the cloud storage, because we have one document in which explains the calculation of the cloud storage.
Yes. Okay, now if there are no more questions left, we would like to thank you everyone for your time, and we would like to hope that the session are informative and also beneficial, and thank you also for all the questions that has been raised. Should you have any question after the session and you would like to have a call with us, please do not be afraid to contact us, and we will be happy to assist you on it. So until then, have a great day everyone. Take care and bye everyone.